Hey there, it's March the 24th, time for another episode of Eve News, Weather, and Sports. I'm Mike Azariah, and welcome to this. If you don't play Eve online, I have no freaking clue why you are here, but you're welcome just the same. Uh, Real short one today, I hope, but you know how I tend to meander. The most recent patch had an unusual response from the population in the forums and in Reddit, in that there's not as much yelling and screaming as I expected, which means that either the devs did something right, which happens occasionally, or the players have just given up. But aside from that, it means I don't have a lot of news to talk about the changes, except for the fact that the changes are beginning to rattle through the ecosystem. And so, one of the effects that we're seeing is that prices on various minerals are shifting. Noxium's going up, mercocosset, whatever it's called, is going down, and prices of ships should be the next thing in that row of dominoes to change. How fast it changes and whether it changes adequately is something we still have to wait to see. But change from the patch from 2 weeks ago is beginning to make its way through the system. Second thing I want to talk about is the fact that Eve is listed as an MMO, which means massively multiplayer online. Why emphasize the middle word? Multiplayer. In a lot of games you play that are multiplayer, unless you join some small little clan or guild, you tend to run by yourself. And yes, there's other players running around. Occasionally you'll admire their fashion choices or whatever. Really? You're going to wear that top with those pants? Oh, honey, I just can't. But other than that, you don't interact much with the other players, and what you do doesn't change much for the other players, other than if you scoop up a loot that they were hoping to scoop up. Eve is a lot different. And because it's a lot different, we have a different community formed because of it. That we tend to interact with new players, old players, sometimes good, sometimes we're busy shooting you, but there's interaction that is a lot more intrinsic to the game than you have in others. And I want to mention a couple of them because of a forum thread that started up. And it was started by an organization called Bruce Mining, and they're trying to train newbies. This is how you mine. This is what you do. This is what an organized mining operation looks like. They mentioned me, and I actually chatted with them about this. And they want to say that, and there's other groups, Intrinsic did it, and that are just referencing Operation Magic School Bus, what I do in game, and saying we're following Mike's footsteps in trying to help new players. And I think that's fantastic. I said that it is never a competitive sport to help people. It's not like, hey, get off of my lawn. This is my turf. No, lots of new players, lots of room for everybody to do helping. Other helpers in the game, to give you an example of the type of thing that you see, you've got Eve Scout. I'm going to put a reference down below, who map wormholes and connections through Terra and Turner and ways to get across without doing every damn jump. They also run a rescue service if you get stuck in a wormhole. There's Eve Uni, who creates this fantastic wiki. The devs did, I think they tried a wiki way, way back at the beginning and realized it was a really big project. So they handed it off to the players, and the players picked it up and ran with it. Eve Uni's great. You get organizations that run events. I'll talk about that more in a second. You get tours and people showing off and talking. You get a really core number of players who help out in rookie help chat and in help chat, as well as the ISDs. You have some real regulars there. And if you go in, hey, I'm one of them. I made a joke this morning. Someday they'll let me go home. But I'm there voluntarily. Sports. The Frigate Free for All is coming up this coming weekend, and I highly recommend that you get your little ship to Amamaki or fly there in an empty clone and have some fun in PvP. This is put on by Ricks and Company, and I will put a link down below. You have, like I said, with the news and weather, prices are changing. And but you still see growth in all of the big corps, and you see some little corps grow and then a few weeks later they die. Goon Corporation listed a growth of another 500 players. They were the top change according to Dotlin on my map. At least I think that's what they were. Give me a second. Chat amongst yourselves. Yep, Goonsworm with a delta of plus 522. Now, there's one last thing I want to talk about connected with this theme of MMO, and that's in Eve, a lot of people have alt accounts. Hey, I even make alt accounts mainly to run lessons so I can fly as if I was a new bro and not with a ton of skills behind me. It would be interesting if we knew what the average number of alts a player has is, especially if they're in Goonswarm. For example, if people had 5 alts, then you would divide Goonswarm's population of 55,000, almost 56,000 by 5 and say they've got 11,000 real players playing in the Goons. Now that's still an impressive number. 10,000 people, 11,000 people, that's a lot, but it's not 55,000. Question becomes how many of us are real and how many of us are fake? I have been accused of being a bot. I'm not. I'm a geek. See, I'm even labeled. Uh, Anyways, it is too early for me to be shooting alcohol. It is a rainy Monday morning, afternoon, clock's live, and I'm just having a good time. So I will hoist a cup of coffee with you. Hope I get to meet you sometime in an event. You have yourselves a good one, and I will chat with you in a week, give or take. Laters.